Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Welcome, it's day 3 in our 12 days of tags for this year. And today, something really clean and elegant. I'm using the gorgeous Sweet Poppy Stencils Christmas Rose. I absolutely love it. This has to be one of my favourite stamps of the current time. And I've done it in traditional reds and greens. A really simple gold little thread. And we're just colouring it with some watercolour pens and using some stenciling in the background. So I'm going to show you how we build up that texture and just talk to you a little bit about the colouring as we go through it. But as always, if you don't have the same stamps and stencils, use whatever brings your heart to life. So here we've got, I'm going to be using these brush tip markers from Sweet Poppy Stencils. I am going to be using a blending sponge. I've got a couple of little stencils that I think just lend itself well to a bit of background there. And then we will get started. So here's my tag, as always, 6.5 centimetres by 12.5 centimetres with the corners snipped. I'm also going to show you how I did the reinforcer. So the very first thing we're going to do is put our tag in our stamp press first. Here I've got my lovely stamp, and I am going to just stamp it with VersaFine Clear Nocturne. This works pretty well. It holds the colour. It's an oil-based ink, so you can colour and paint over it and in between. So as always, I'm just tapping the ink pad onto the stamp. Don't like to pull it because you're never sure that you've got an even coverage then. Just put the lid straight on, bring up my platform. I've just got a little blackboard eraser here, which helps me get an even pressure. Don't need to do that, but I actually quite like it. Oh, look at that. I mean, just look. Isn't that so elegant and absolutely synonymous with Christmas here? I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, just going to make sure that my fingers are clean. And I am going to start with my stencils before doing the colouring. So I'm actually going to start with this one because I'm going to put this closer to the stamped image. And for this, I'm just going to use my blending sponge and 2 colours in Distress Oxides. I've got Mowed Lawn to start with. Just a bit of dab in my brush there. And then I'm just going to circular motion, just bring that. You don't want it too hard, and you sort of want to fade it in from the stamped image this way in. And I actually just brought it all the way, sort of almost in a diagonal line here. Like that. Look. And then the fact that it's not all one depth or pressure, will give the illusion that it's fading into the background here. And then we're just going to bring this funky little one into the corner. Got a gap there. Okay, I'm happy with that. You could just bring a tiny bit of this into that corner. Yes, I love it. So, I mean, how easy is that to get a look of depth? I'm just going to clean off my mat before I do the colouring. I am going to use those Sweet Poppy fine tip water brush markers, And my goodness, the tip on them is so fine. Just look at this. So for these little twigs, it works perfectly. I love the fact that it is such a fine tip. You literally have to just about touch the paper. It glides across the page so easily. And they're actually a really deep colour. So I've had these for, wow, well, since the day they come out. I can't remember when that was. And they're still, the depth of colour is still as rich as it was the day I got them. Now, for your berries, what we're going to do is we're going to colour around, like, can you see what I'm doing here? Colouring around the shape of the berry. We're not going to go backwards and forwards. We're just going to colour around. And we're going to leave a bit of white space there in some places. That's what gives, if you look at what I've got here, there's two ways you can achieve that 3D look. One is by leaving a bit of white space, and the other is coming over with your white pen or white paint afterwards. But by doing it in this sort of round motion, it kind of helps those berries look even more 3D than if you coloured it in a different way. So can you see how they're starting to look like 3D berries? Awesome. We're now going to, in these sets of pens, there's so many beautiful colours, and there's a huge good assortment of greens. I actually really quite like this sort of lime fluoro green. And again, hardly touching the page. There's quite a lot of detail on this stamp, so you can just fly over this really quickly. And if you wanted to give a bit of extra depth, I'm just sort of, again, following the lines here, just going, I missed a few bits. There you go. So can you see the depth that you've now got in that leaf? And I'm just going to go through all these leaves and do the same, right around it with this light green, and then just a few touches with the darker green. Now for the flower itself, you'll see in my original, I just did a slight blue. So to do that, I've used this colour blue. And I'm going to put a tiny, this isn't watercolour card, but it's okay. You just put a tiny bit of, but these are watercolour pens. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of water down on my page. And then I'm just going to bring it out. So you see ever such a tiny bit of ink on there. And I'm just going to draw it out. I think perhaps I used a darker colour than I used on my original, but I don't dislike it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some on my mat here, and I'm just going to pick it up with my water brush. There you go. That is going to give me a paler. There you go. I do love this stamp. So I hope you are enjoying the days of tags I've loved seeing your makes. It's just fabulous. The interaction and, you know, the support that you're giving each other in this group and during this series is really beautiful. So thank you all. I love doing these tags. And I do hope that by having 12 this year, that you'll all be able to join in and do it right to the end. Look at that. I love it. And you know, in the beginning there where I did that one a little darker, it's really okay. Might just bring a little bit more here. There you go. Bring that a little darker. I love it. I love it. I love it. So look at that. I'm just going to put my lid on my pens and clean this up before we just go around the edge. Water, water only in my mat. Oh, I forgot the middle. Don't forget some yellow in the centre. This is darker than the other one, and I think I quite like it. So again, I'm not doing this colour right across. It's just this dab, 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 which gives it a bit more depth. And then I'm just going to use my smoothie. And I've got here peeled paint. So that's a slightly muted colour, as opposed to mowed lawn, which is really quite bright. It's a bright green, beautiful Christmas green. But for the edge, I'm just going to go around with this peeled paint here. Yes. Just slowly close to the edge. So you see it just brings the whole piece together. Look at that. So there we have today Christmas rose with a couple of stencils. Here I did a 30cm piece of gold thread. Oh, I've forgotten my little reinforcer. Let me show you how I did that. So I've had these two punches forever, ever, ever. And what I did was I just had a piece of red card, and I take the very tiny one, punch a hole through the middle, and then take the next one, line it up. Oh, can't line it up. There it is. Through the centre, get it even. And there I've got my little coloured reinforcer. Now, if you don't have red, you obviously could use your Distress Oxides to colour it, and then you've got exactly the right shade. Here is my template. I'm going to use my big bite, punch a hole in the centre. There you go. And then I'm just going to pop a bit of glue onto my little reinforcer. If the glue's working, the glue's not working. There we go. I love this glue because it dries clear. So on something like that where I smudged it, it will dry clear. Voila! Look at that. Our lovely Christmas rose. The gold thread, as I said, is about 30cm, and I just threaded it through. Thanks so much for watching day 3. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.